Welcome to the deep dive. We take all that source material you send us, break it down, and basically give you the cheat sheet to sounding like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the ultimate shortcut.
Exactly. And today, oh boy, we're diving head first into the capital Wasteland. Specifically, we're tackling those two groups who are always on your case depending on your karma, Talon Company, and the Regulators.
Right, this one's for anyone who's played Fallout 3 and wondered, who are these jerks constantly trying to kill me? We're not just talking locations and gear, though.
No, we want to get into the why. Why do they exist? Who's footing the bill? And how do they fundamentally change how you even play the game?
Because they really do. They go from being absolutely terrifying when you first start out.
Oh yeah, nightmare fuel.
To basically being like your personal armor and ammo delivery service later on. It's kind of wild.
It really is. They're the game's karma system made flesh. Well, heavily armed flesh. Lean too good, Talon Company comes knocking. Lean too evil.
Then you get the Regulators showing up for your head. Literally.
It forces this weird balancing act on you. It's a constant pressure. So where do we start? The quote-unquote good guys.
Let's do it. Let's talk about the guys trying to bring law to the lawless, even if their methods are questionable.
Okay, the Regulators. Visually, they've got this whole vibe, right? The cowboy hats, the dusters. It's very deliberate.
Oh, totally. It screams Wasteland lawman. Even if the duster is, like, fallen apart, it's a look. They want you to see them as this necessary militia.
Trying to bring a semblance of peace, as the sources put it, which is optimistic in the capital Wasteland.
To say the least. Their whole philosophy boils down to one thing. Justice comes from the barrel of a gun. Which, I mean, maybe they're not wrong in that context.
Yeah, when society is completely collapsed, what else is there? But that name, Regulators. It sounds so official, like they're sanctioned.
Exactly, and they're not. They're vigilantes, plain and simple, operating totally outside any formal structure, but calling themselves Regulators. Smart branding.
How so?
Well, historically, regulator groups popped up in places like the American colonies when the official government was weak or corrupt. They took the law into their own hands. So the name itself suggests, hey, we're stepping in because we have to. We're filling a void.
Ah, so it gives them this air of legitimacy, even if it's self-proclaimed. Makes sense.
Right. They're saying, we're not just random thugs, we're upholding order. Even if that order involves, collecting fingers.
We'll get to the fingers, but first, their origin. Founded around 2267, so about 10 years before the game starts, by unknown individuals.
Yep, someone with deep pockets decided the Wasteland needed karma cops and secretly funded this whole operation. Sonora Cruz is the face, the one you report to.
But the really juicy bit is who's secretly on the payroll.
Oh yeah, Lucas Sims, Mr. Megaton himself.
The sheriff, the mayor, the guy who seems like the most stand-up citizen in the early game, is moonlighting as a regulator.
And the sources say he's basically living out a weird childhood cowboy fantasy, which is hilarious, but also kind of significant.
How so? It feels almost like a throwaway detail.
No way! It shows the Regulators aren't just some fringe group hiding in a shack. If the elected leader of the most stable town around is secretly one of them, it means they have reach. They have support from within the communities they're supposedly protecting. It's insidious, almost.
Okay, I see that. They're embedded. Which brings us to how they actually operate. Their economy.
The finger economy, yeah. So you gotta be good karma first, then you take the Lawbringer perk.
Which flags you for recruitment. You get a note, go see Sonora Cruz at Regulator HQ.
And then the fun begins. She pays you for killing unjust individuals. But you need proof.
The fingers. You literally collect the severed fingers of bad guys you kill and turn them in for caps. It's so grim.
It really is. But Sonora, she's super matter-of-fact about it, calls them deed markers, just bureaucratic proof that the job got done.
She says the organization trusts its members not to just kill random people for fingers.
But then she immediately admits that, yeah, sometimes members embellish a bit.
Right. We trust you implicitly. Also, we know you sometimes lie to us for money. Classic Wasteland logic.
But what's really interesting is how they handle degrees of goodness. You need good karma to join, sure. But if you hit very good karma...
Oh, she loves that. Calls you an example to all.
And gives you a bonus on your finger bounties, they literally pay you extra for being a total saint. It's like a performance bonus for moral purity.
A karma-based commission structure.
Wow.
They also have specific bounties, right? Like for Genders Plunkett.
Yeah, targeting known slavers and major criminals seems to be a priority. Makes sense for their image.
And their HQ. It's weirdly low-key for such an operation. just a small farmhouse near Canterbury Commons.
Sonora says it's just an admin hub, basically. A drop-off point for trophies. Most regulators operate undercover, spread out, which fits the Lucas Sims thing.
Makes sense. But they're not just quest givers. If you turn evil,
Oh, then the gloves come off. Evil, or very evil karma. The regulators start hunting you. And they don't want your fingers anymore.
what do they want?
Your head. The bounties specifically demand your head as proof, which is quite the escalation.
It definitely sends a message. You've gone from being a potential asset to being public enemy #1.
Exactly. It shows you've crossed a line. You're not just some petty thief anymore. You're a major villain worth a much higher, much more permanent price.
Before we switch gears to Talon Company, we got to mention that weird HQ mystery thing.
Yeah.
Scattered letters.
Ah, yes, the ABCC, whatever it was. Found by someone using the Tale of Two Wastelands mod, apparently. Around the regulator shack.
AABCCDEFGHIJKKLMN. Yeah. It's probably nothing, right? Just random game data.
Probably. But you know the fan community. It fuels endless speculation. Cut content, a hidden puzzle, a cipher pointing to the real funders. It adds this layer of potential conspiracy onto what seems like a pretty straightforward faction.
It definitely makes you wonder if there was supposed to be more to their story. But okay, let's talk about the other guys constantly ambushing you.
Right, Talon Company, TC. If the regulators are trying, however weirdly, to be the good guys, TC makes absolutely no bones about being the bad guys. For profit.
They're mercenaries, but like corporate mercenaries.
Yeah.
Way too organized, way too well equipped to just be confused with raiders. They feel professional.
In a terrifying way.
Totally.
Yeah.
Their whole deal is no job too nasty. If the caps are right, they'll do literally anything. And they are vicious.
The sources mention Riley from Riley's Rangers talking about them wiping out an entire settlement. Just gone. Women, children, everyone. Sometime between 2275 and 2276.
Just because someone paid them enough,
Yeah.
that tells you everything you need to know about their moral compass, or lack thereof.
It sets the stage perfectly. These aren't misunderstood anti-heroes. They're hired killers on an industrial scale.
And their look reinforces it. Black combat armor, that white bird claw symbol. It's intimidating. And their flag. Jeez.
Yeah, the flag is something else. A bird, but with a skull face. Flying off with a baby. I mean, talk about unsubtle messaging. We will literally steal babies if you pay us. It's designed purely to communicate ruthlessness.
And it works. So organizationally, they're structured like a proper military outfit.
Yep. Chain of command, clear leadership. Commander Jabsko runs the show from Fort Bannister, their main HQ, which is this heavily reinforced pre-war bunker complex.
But Jabsko himself, he's not exactly leading from the front, is he?
Huh. No. He's got this nickname, Jetting Jabsko. Apparently he's notorious for, well, jetting out of danger. He directs operations from the safety of his bunker and bails if things get hairy.
So the troops are hardcore, but the leader's a coward.
Seems like it. It suggests Talon Company's effectiveness comes from its system, its funding, its gear. Not necessarily from brilliant, brave leadership. The machine works even if the guy at the top is mostly interested in saving his own skin.
And the gear is good. Way better than the regulators.
Oh, absolutely. Combat shotguns, laser rifles, Chinese assault rifles are standard. You see sniper rifles, missile launchers. They even use reprogrammed military robots. Mr. Gutsy's sentry bots. They've got serious hardware.
Which lets them hold territory, right? They're fighting the super mutants all over DC.
Yeah, big battles around the Capitol building, Tacoma Park, Seward Square. They're trying to carve out operational zones, secure loot, maybe fulfill contracts. But the sources say they sometimes get overrun by the mutants anyway. Even TC has limits.
So how do they usually operate when they're not fighting mutants? When they're coming after you?
Usually small fire teams. 3 mercs. Their tactics aren't super complex, lay down suppressing fire, try to close the distance. But again, sources say they're actually kind of cowardly. If a fight turns bad, they'll cut and run. Just like raiders.
Huh. For all the heavy armor, they still value their own lives.
Yeah.
Makes sense for mercs.
Gotta live to collect the paycheck, right? But the main way you experience them is through those damn ambushes.
Ugh, the ambushes. Okay, what triggers them?
Right.
We know being good is the main one.
Yep.
Just having good karma puts a permanent target on your back. Even for tiny things, like giving water to beggars.
Yeah.
Which feels disproportionate.
Totally. Oh, you were nice. Prepare to die.
The other big trigger is story-related. Disarming the Megaton bomb, or warning Sheriff Sims about Mr. Burke.
Ah, right. Burke hires them specifically for that hit. That one feels more direct, at least.
Yeah, that first encounter is usually scripted too. A merc walks up, calls you the little saint from the vault, Makes it clear they're there for the bounty, then they attack.
Gives you a second to go, oh crap.
Exactly. Later on, they just skip the pleasantries and start shooting the moment they spawn in.
And they spawn in everywhere. Fast travel ambushes, zoning ambushes.
Yep. Seneca Metro, Anacostia Crossing, Lucky's near Tenpenny Tower, Warrington Station. Those places become infamous for TC showing up unexpectedly. You're constantly looking over your shoulder.
Which leads us to that bug, the stealth bug. That drove people nuts. Oh god, yes. The ultimate middle finger to stealth players. You could have 100 sneak, be wearing the Chinese stealth armor, pop a stealth boy, doesn't matter.
Please know you're there.
Pretty much. Once they get within a certain range, maybe 10 meters or so, boom, instant caution. The game basically forces the encounter, no matter how sneaky you are.
So the game mechanics are literally overriding player skill just to ensure the karma consequence happens.
Exactly. It feels cheap. It makes the whole system feel less like an organic part of the world and more like a clunky, unavoidable penalty.
Okay, so stepping back, Talon Company and the Regulators. They're two sides of the same coin, mechanically speaking.
Absolutely. They're the game's way of giving you direct, violent feedback on your karma score. Good karma gets you Talon attacks, evil karma gets you Regulator attacks. Perfect symmetry.
A consequence engine. A simple one, maybe, but effective at making karma feel like it matters.
And we know there's that inferred connection to the third group, Little Horn and Associates. The guys who pay you for ears if you take the contract killer perk for being evil.
Right, the evil equivalent of the Lawbringer perk. And there was cut dialogue suggesting Daniel Littlehorn might have originally been tied to the Regulators.
Yeah, it hints that maybe the original design was simpler, like one system where you either hunted good guys or bad guys, depending on your alignment, before they split it into these distinct opposing factions.
Which leads players to do that ridiculous, what was it, the neutral dance?
The neutral dance, yes, because dealing with either hit squad constantly is annoying. Players figured out the best way to avoid both is to keep your karma smack dab in the middle. Perfectly neutral.
So you end up doing these absurd things in-game.
Totally. You do something heroic, your karma goes up, then you realize, oh no, Talon Company is going to be after me. So you immediately go steal something worthless or, yeah, metaphorically kick a puppy just to nudge that karma meter back down to 0.
You're making gameplay decisions based entirely on manipulating an invisible number to avoid inconvenient spawns.
It highlights the absurdity and the limitations of that simple karma system. It encourages moral apathy as the safest path, which is kind of bleak, actually.
And that's the core criticism, right? Compared to later Fallout games with more complex reputation systems, Fallout 3's karma felt shallow, like a gimmick.
Yeah, that's the word often used, a karma gimmick.
Yeah.
It felt less like your actions had nuanced consequences within specific communities, and more like you just tripped a global attack player switch based on a single number.
And the difficulty scaling was often brutal early on.
Oh man, yes. Getting jumped by 3 mercs in combat armor with laser rifles when you're level 3 and barely have a pistol and some leather armor, it felt completely unfair. A massive difficulty spike seemingly out of nowhere.
But then, the tables turn. Once you get powerful enough,
Suddenly they're not a threat anymore. They're walking treasure chests.
the loot delivery service.
Exactly. You start looking forward to Talon ambushes because it means free combat armor repairs, free energy weapon ammo, free assault rifles. They become a reliable source of high-end gear.
Especially for repairing unique stuff like the Chuanlong rifle. You need those Chinese assault rifles they carry.
It's the ultimate gameplay loop irony. The terrifying assassins hired to stop you become your primary equipment suppliers.
Thanks for the gear, guys, trying to murder me! Beyond just hunting the player, though, TC is involved in the bigger DC conflict, fighting super mutants everywhere.
Right. Is that just them carving out territory for future mercenary work? Or is it part of their mysterious funders' plan to just keep DC in a constant state of chaos, preventing anyone, mutants, Brotherhood, whoever, from gaining too much control?
Probably a bit of both. Maximize profit, fulfill the chaos mandate.
Seems likely. And it's interesting how they prioritize. They will attack you if they see you. Unless they're already busy shooting at a super mutant behemoth, then you're just secondary.
Priorities, right. But ultimately, their reign doesn't last forever. Broken Steel settles their hash.
Yep. The Brotherhood of Steel lays siege to Fort Bannister. Something about a stolen water caravan. And the sources say the Bon Eris just rolls right over them, cleans the place out, kills Japsko.
So for all their organization and gear, when a real military power shows up, Talon Company folds pretty quickly.
It puts them in perspective. They're top-tier mercenaries in a lawless wasteland, but they're not equipped to fight a conventional war against someone like the Brotherhood. They get outclassed.
Which brings us back to the biggest question mark hanging over all of this. Who the hell is paying for Talon Company?
The million cap question. Someone is pouring huge amounts of money into this operation for years just to keep the capital wasteland chaotic and make sure the guys with the biggest guns make the rules, according to the official guide.
So who are the suspects? The fan favorite seems to be Daniel Littlehorn.
Makes the most sense on paper. He runs the rival evil faction, Littlehorn and Associates, paying for the ears of good people. His whole motivation seems to be maximum chaos and suffering. Funding TC fits perfectly.
Plus that whole potential devil reference in his name, it's almost too perfect.
Right. If you need a shadowy billionaire funding murder and mayhem, he's your guy. But he's not the only suspect.
Okay, who else? The Enclave.
That's the other big theory. The Enclave has the resources, the tech. They could be using Talon Company as disposable pawns. Soften up DC, weaken the Brotherhood, make people desperate for the Enclave's brand of order.
It's logical, but the sources shoot it down pretty hard.
Yeah, they say there's just no actual evidence linking them. Plus, the Enclave ultimately wants control, strict, centralized, genocidal control. Talon Company's mandate is pure, ongoing chaos. The long-term goals don't really align.
Okay, so probably not the Enclave. What about the more localized theory? Burke and Tenpenny.
Well, we know Mr. Burke hires a specific Talon hit squad after the Megaton bomb incident. That's confirmed in-game.
But that's one specific contract. Does that mean Tenpenny is funding the entire organization's operations across the whole map?
Probably not. Tenpenny's motivations seem pretty self-centered. He wants luxury, a nice view, no ghouls nearby. He doesn't seem like the type to fund a massive region-wide destabilization campaign just for kicks. Burke hiring them for that one job makes sense, but Tenpenny bankrolling the whole thing feels like a stretch.
So Littlehorn still feels like the strongest possibility for TC's sugar daddy.
Yeah, unless it's someone completely unseen, Littlehorn ticks the most boxes.
And on the regulator side, who's funding them? Also unknown benefactors.
Also unknown, yeah. But the context feels different. We know they started about a decade before the game.
And we know Lucas Sims is involved, the respectable sheriff of Megaton.
That's the key difference. It suggests the regulators aren't funded by some shadowy evil force, but maybe by, well, relatively good people, settlements, community leaders, people like Sims who desperately want some kind of law, even if it's vigilante law, and are willing to secretly fund it.
So it's like the concerned citizens pooling their caps to hire karma police.
Kind of, yeah. It's the Wasteland's desperate, slightly terrifying version of a neighborhood watch funded by anonymous donations. Good people supporting finger-collecting bounty hunters because it's better than nothing.
Man, the Wasteland is messed up.
Yeah.
So you got TC funded by Chaos Incarnate, probably Littlehorn, and the Regulators funded by secret donations from decent folk.
That seems to be the most plausible read based on the evidence and the context.
And what happens to them after Fallout 3? They just vanish by the time of Fallout 4.
Yep. Neither group shows up in the Commonwealth. The default fan theory is usually the Brotherhood happened.
Makes sense. Once the Brotherhood, especially under Maxon, takes over the capital Wasteland, they wouldn't tolerate independent armies like Talon Company.
Exactly. TC would be seen as rivals, probably wiped out, or maybe some mercs forcibly recruited if they were skilled enough, assimilated or eliminated.
And the Regulators. They're not exactly an army.
True, but they're still an independent force dispensing justice outside Brotherhood control. Maxon probably wouldn't stand for that either, maybe exterminated as dissidents. Or possibly, under the earlier Elder Lions, maybe some were integrated into local patrols before Maxon purged that kind of thinking.
Either way, the Brotherhood likely cleaned house.
Seems the most likely fate.
Yeah.
And their roles in the game world get filled by new groups in Fallout 4, right?
Yeah, the comparison is always made. The Gunners are the new Talon Company. Organized, ruthless, well-equipped mercs.
And the Minutemen kind of take the regulator spot, but in a much more traditional good guy militia way. Less finger collecting.
Thank God for that. So the specific factions die out, but the archetypes organized evil mercs, local good guy militia, they persist.
The Wasteland always finds a way to create conflict, huh? Hashtag outro.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Talon Company, corporate evil, slick armor, paid by chaos agents to keep things bloody and profitable. Total bastards.
Right. And the regulators, dusty cowboys, vigilante justice, probably funded by worried mayors, collecting fingers as proof of purchase. Morally gray, maybe, but trying.
But the really key takeaway here, I think, isn't just who they are, but what they represent in the game itself.
Exactly. Forget the deep lore for a second. Mechanically, they existed to slap you upside the head the second your karma strayed too far. They were the constant, nagging, often lethal reminder that your choices had consequences.
Even if those consequences sometimes felt cheap, like the stealth bug, or eventually became beneficial, like the loot delivery service. They were the karma meter made real.
They're the reason the neutral dance became a thing. They fundamentally shaped how people played the morality system.
So here's the thought to leave you with. What does their whole existence really say about the capital wasteland? Maybe the most unsettling thing isn't who pays them. Maybe it's the implication that extreme morality, being too good or too evil, is inherently unstable and dangerous there.
That maybe the only way to truly survive and thrive isn't by being a saint or a demon, but by being perfectly, boringly neutral, just keeping your head down.
So if you took Talon Company and the Regulators out of the equation entirely, would the wasteland feel more fair, less reactive, or would it just mean fewer chances for free combat armor repairs?
Something to definitely chew on next time you're deciding whether or not to give that beggar some water.